Welcome to Your Life Reset, a Virta Health podcast where bold stories meet breakthrough ideas. From massive weight loss wins to exploring the latest research, discover what's possible when science meets real life.
Hey there, listeners. It's Theresa Link, and this is Your Life Reset. Now, these days, I can't open my front door without seeing someone walking their dog in a weighted vest. Now, to be clear, we're talking about the human wearing the weighted vest, not the dog. Weighted vests are everywhere on runners, hikers, weekend warriors, that group of 40-somethings having CrossFit flashbacks. So what's behind the hype? Are weighted vests a legit fitness tool or just some heavy hype? Well, today I'm joined by Mark Huber, Omaha native and lead clinician at Virta, and he's a proud vest enthusiast to help us unpack it all. Let's dig in. Welcome, everybody, and live from Omaha, Nebraska. It is Thursday morning, and I have Mark Huber, and you are a
continuity clinician with Virta Health.
All right.
One of the lead continuity clinicians.
Welcome.
At Virta, yeah.
Welcome. And also an Omaha native.
Yes, here in Omaha, so we get to not be virtual.
We get to not be virtual.
Which is great. We can be live and in person, which is always fun.
We're here in Omaha. Did you grow up here? Have you been here for a while?
I've been here for 30 years.
30 years.
Around there.
Okay. All right. Born and raised?
Not born.
Okay. I was going to say, you're not that young, are you?
No. I moved here when I was around 9 years old. So
okay.
That should give you.
If you do the math, then you can figure it out.
Figure it out, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I'm not 40, but getting real close. No, there's nothing wrong with 40. I'm turning 40. It's the end of the world.
Yeah.
Midlife crisis type.
Well, not yet. We'll find out.
We'll find
Maybe
out.
you'll have your midlife crisis when you hit 45. You can grow your hair out really long. I mean, there's all sorts of options.
You could dye it purple.
You could dye it purple.
Or blue.
Or blue.
Like some.
Yeah. There's all sorts of things that you can do for a midlife crisis.
I think it's pretty much unlimited.
All right. So the topic for today is weighted vests.
Sure.
Also, there's rucking, which is a similar kind of.
Yeah.
But here's the question of the day. What are weighted vests and why are they like suddenly so popular?
So sure. So I think you touched on it. I will probably say rucking more than weighted vests.
Sure. Okay.
To clarify, I'll probably use the terms honestly interchangeably today. They're very similar. The rucking is a military term that just means carrying weight in a backpack. So you don't need to overthink it. It's pretty simple. Weighted vest, the only real difference is if you have a weighted vest, you're generally carrying weight front and back. So it's more evenly distributed. Whereas with rucking, the technical term would be it's in a backpack. So it's on your back.
Okay.
Because of the way it's loaded.
We were setting up for the podcast this morning and immediately I saw someone in a weighted vest jogging by and I thought,
very good.
Well, this is a great start.
It wasn't me.
So in general, let's, if we take a step back here, we'll just talk about movement in general, physical activity, exercise, movement, whatever you want to call it. Before we get more into kind of the weighted vests and how that might add to it, why is movement so important, especially when it comes to your metabolic health?
Yeah, it's a great question. Many people have probably heard that the kind of the phrase around sitting is the new smoking. It's probably a little bit overstated if you're talking just from a complete risk standpoint, but we do know that moving is really good for you. And so while we're going to talk about rucking today, I want to be clear, whatever movement you're doing, don't stop. If you like sand volleyball, play sand volleyball. Whatever gets you out and gets you moving. And one of the things we may also touch on a little bit is I'm somebody who tends to think that while there are a few things you can do better for your long-term health than exercise can be quickly get pigeonholed into it has to be X to count as exercise.
Right. And
I don't necessarily think the research supports that. And I would also say that just in general, we need to move more. If we look at, say, somebody who lived 150, 200 years ago, they would move a lot more than we do. They didn't have garage door openers. They didn't have garages very often. And so, and then they didn't have cars. So they were either walking or riding a horse, which also requires some movement more than, and kind of using your muscles more than sitting in a car. And so we tend to be very comfortable. We've gotten really good at getting comfortable. And so it's pretty easy for people, if they want to take 1,000 steps in a day, because you can walk to your car, get in your car,
It's
drive to
very,
your office, or if you work from home like we do, eh, just walk to your basement or your office
Mhm.
and sit there all day.
Yeah.
And so that's where there is probably some validity to the idea of sitting being the new smoking, and that it does the long sitting, especially over 9, 10 hours a day, really does have detrimental effects on our health. And so anywhere where we can add movement in, whether it be traditional exercise, I'm going to the gym, going to get on the treadmill, going to get on the Peloton, or I'm going to go walk the dog. I'm going to get up and move around a little bit, do some jumping jacks before I get on my next meeting. Those can all have benefits. Even things as simple as, hey, I'm going to park farther away and walk.
Mhm.
It's not going to change your life doing it once, but if you start adding a lot of these things, you can get some compounding effects to them. And again, more movement is better.
You mentioned, you know, way, way, way long time ago, humans, what they were doing, we were carrying more, right? And
Mhm.
listening to, I was listening to another podcast, and I can't remember who this was, but this person is very passionate about this whole idea
Mhm.
of just like having more weight on you while
Mhm.
you're doing things. And, was talking about like a long time ago, um, you know, people were carrying supplies, and
Mhm.
they were on horseback, or they were pushing carts, and the older kids were carrying the younger kids, and you
Mhm.
were just kind of constantly carrying things. And to your point, it's we don't have to do that today,
No.
and our bodies are still wired to need that
Mhm.
sort of thing.
Mhm.
So it's a great segue really into how can we utilize some of these similar ideas in today's convenient.
Argue, and the argument I think has been made pretty well, that if you look at humans from a physical standpoint, we're, compared to other animals, we're very slow. We're not very strong. We're kind of pathetic in a lot of
Yeah, it's a
ways
bummer.
physically, with the exception of endurance and our ability to carry. And so I mean, obviously, if you look at humans, what really sets us apart is our minds, and our ability to think and plan and build civilizations and I mean, that's the real superpower of humans. But from a physical standpoint, we have really exceptional endurance, especially in heat, and we can carry.
All right, so Mark, we've talked about how moving more in general
Mhm.
is a good thing, right? So how do weighted vests, or rucking, or however you want to refer to that, how do they really take that to the next level in terms of health?
Yeah. So I think it's a great question, and to I think one thing that they're really good for is they have a very low barrier to entry. And so if you are somebody who is untrained and is going, okay, I know I should exercise, what do I do? And I think this is one of the areas where I think I touched on a little bit in the beginning, but the marketing of exercise, I think, has kind of skewed our view of exercise. And so we say, okay, I need to do X exercise really intensely for 30 minutes, whether that be Peloton, whether that be, you need to go run sprints. I need to join a CrossFit gym. None of these things are bad. Right? They all have benefits. And again, whatever exercise you're doing, keep doing it. I think where that gets me so excited about rucking, or wearing a weighted vest, is it's just a way to take what you're already doing and add a little bit of difficulty to it. And it really has a very low barrier to entry. I would say it basically has zero barrier to entry, because you can find a backpack and you can throw 5 pounds in it. You can throw 10 pounds in it. Most backpacks will carry that without much problem. And you can go for a walk. You can go walk your dog. You can go take your kids to the playground, those type of things. And so now you're adding a little bit of a strength component to what you're already doing, And you're really still, I mean, you can call it a workout, whatever. I think at some point it becomes semantics, but you're just adding a little bit of extra to what you're already doing.
Okay.
And that allows, in my mind, it to be very doable for most people.
Yep. Most people have a backpack.
Right.
Most people will have maybe some books
Mhm.
they could put in there. You don't need
Books are a
fancy
great,
set of
no,
weights or
nope.
anything like
Books
that.
are a great start. Yeah, a
Okay.
couple heavy textbooks to get
Sure.
you to 10 pounds pretty easily.
Yeah.
Uh,
But we all still have textbooks,
we do.
right?
Well, I'd probably maybe not. Those of us who
Maybe.
are those of us who are around 40 may have some
Yeah.
textbooks still.
Yeah. Maybe some a good amount of novels
Sure.
or what have you.
But you can, I mean, you can find you can find tin cans. You can find
Oh,
canned goods. You
okay.
can throw a couple bricks in. I
Sure.
think when I
Bricks.
started, I literally had some old tile that had been saved.
Wow.
So uh, it was probably 20 pounds of like a package of tile that hadn't been used. And I said, oh, that'll fit a backpack, and threw it in, and it worked. So
There you go.
again, you can find a way. You can carry a kid. You can throw a kid. I mean, maybe not throw them in a backpack, but
Well,
um,
one of those hiking
you can
backpacks.
certainly throw them in a hiking
Yeah.
backpack. And so
Yeah.
again, that's rucking, that's carrying weight. And again, most of us are walking somewhere throughout the day. If we're not, start by walking more. And then next step is just add a little bit of weight to it. One of the big benefits of rucking, as we're talking about, it can be done socially. So you can do it with your family. You're going for a walk with your family already. Uh, Throw on rucks.
Yeah.
My
Wear
wife,
it to a party.
my wife throws on her ruck sometime. I mean, she was more voluntold.
I could ruck to happy hour. I could wear a
100%.
vest in my own house or to a party, just walk around with it on. All right, so we've had some fun
Sure.
talking about different ways and places that you could put on extra weight, whether it's on a backpack style like rucking, or if it's just weighted vest or what have you. What about someone who's overweight or obese? They want to maybe try something like this. Can't they just use some ankle weights or something similar?
So yeah, you could. I think one of the issues with ankle weights, and I'm by no means an expert on this, but in some of the research that I've seen, is that when you put weight distal to the joint like that, you can kind of change gait and actually cause some increased risk for injury because you're walking differently because your weight is farther away from your center.
Got
I
it.
think, while I've not used ankle weights before, or at least not very much, I think you also are limited somewhat in how much weight you can add. So I think I think you may have some increased strain on the joint because it's distal, not central to the way you're walking. And if that changes gait, you have the potential for injury and
Yeah.
things like that. I also think you're generally limited in how much weight you're going to put on. I don't know, but most people aren't putting 15 pounds on each leg.
I definitely experimented with walking with ankle weights a few months ago, but then I started to get bruises on my ankles. And I thought,
And how
what
much weight were you using?
not I started out with like 2-pound ankle weights.
Yeah.
And then I gradually moved up to the heaviest ones I have are 5 pounds a piece. So I had a 5-pound here, 5-pound there, and I was getting bruises.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, and also my knees were starting to hurt a little. Sure.
And so one of the advantages to rucking is that it actually has a significantly lower injury risk. Because you're wearing the weight, especially on your back, and I would think it would be similar with a vest. But especially with rucking, you're wearing the weight on your back, so it's kind of building your chassis, so to speak, because it's central. And so you're getting strength benefit in your back, in your shoulders, in your core, in your glutes. So in some ways, rucking can be seen as cardio for people who don't like cardio, and it can
Okay.
be seen as weights for those people who don't like lifting. So if you have your cardio person, you add weight, you're getting a strength benefit. If you're somebody who's just your gym bro who hates running, you add cardio to the lifting, or sorry, to the rucking. When you're rucking and you're getting kind of a strength benefit, but you're also getting some cardio benefit as well.
All right. I want to get into a little bit more science
Yeah.
stuff. Some people may not know this, and it's kind of an infuriating fact, But exercise in and of itself is not a great weight loss tool, right? Research does show us that for most people, exercise doesn't help us lose weight. And a lot of people are watching this and they want to know, how do I lose weight? Yes, I want to improve my metabolic health, my disease, live a long, disease-free, ideally life. But also, a lot of people want to lose weight. So if we're saying exercise may not actually help you lose weight, that sounds like a major bummer, especially if you
Yes.
are spending hours and hours in the gym sweating, and then you're saying, seriously? What are you talking about? So why is that it's not a great weight loss tool?
I think that the research is pretty well established that exercise by itself is not a great weight loss tool. Now, I say that, and I used to tell when I was working in primary care, I used to tell my patients this all the time. Like, listen, don't get discouraged. Exercise isn't great for losing weight. I still want you exercising.
Yeah.
If there are a few better things for your long-term health, whether or not your weight you lose weight or your weight stays the same, you're much better off exercising than not exercising. I would also say that I do think the research points to exercise being beneficial for weight maintenance, which for a lot of people is actually harder than losing weight, is once you lose it, keeping it off. And so exercise, I think, may play a bigger role there. And there's many reasons for that. One is simply that if you're doing a lot of exercise, you're going to generally start to change your body composition, which is beneficial. But you're going to gain lean mass while losing fat mass. Very good for your metabolic health, but you may not show up on the scale. So
Right.
part of the reason is scales are somewhat limited in what they showed. So I think that's part of it. You also, I think, have the fact that I think often people just really overestimate how much energy they're expending while exercising and how easy it is to overcompensate in diet. And so you can it's pretty hard to say burn 500 calories exercising. It's really easy to eat 500 calories.
Oh, yeah.
So that's another part of it. And so exercise is very good for actually increasing metabolic or basal metabolic rate. If you're gaining muscle, muscle is metabolically meaty, and so we want to put on muscle because then it kind of can raise our basal metabolic rate. The problem is if you're doing a lot of dieting, so to speak, where you're really cutting calories, well, that kind of tanks your basal metabolic rate. And so again, if we're having kind of an extreme diet, we often are getting hungrier after exercise, and it's just really easy to make up those calories by overeating.
Yeah.
And
So the energy, the calories that we are burning just by existing, right,
yes,
can go down when you are also restricting calories a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
So you're trying to lose weight by changing your diet, and you're also adding in exercise, but it could be harder to maintain that weight loss, right? If you tank your metabolic rate.
yeah,
So
100%. And so that's a big one because people are often combining exercise and they're starting a new diet and it's really calorie restricted. And so, yeah, you're going to see some weight loss first few weeks, maybe even few months, but it's just not generally sustainable. And whatever we're doing, and I would say with exercise too, you see this exercise, you see this diet, the person who doesn't exercise and says, okay, it's January 1st. I'm going to exercise 5 days a week for an hour. That's probably not where you want to start. And again, when we talk about rucking, I think one of the things that has it has advantages. You can really ease into it, but then it's also in many ways infinitely scalable.
And there was actually a recent study that looked at weighted vests in specifically weighted vests, right? So we have external weight, and the participants in this study that were wearing the weighted vests during exercise, their basal metabolic rate did not drop as much. And so, is it fair to say that you add rucking or a weighted vest and talk about the advantages that we've already done, you could actually make it even easier to maintain your weight loss because your metabolic rate may not be as low. Like there's an advantage to that potentially.
So this is not a proven theory, it's a theory, but it seems to have some evidence supporting it. What was really interesting about the study is that this study combined that weighted vest with a pretty restricted caloric diet for 6 months. The weighted and non-weighted lost similar amounts of weight. Then they didn't do anything for 2 years, and then they rechecked them. And 2 years later, the non-weighted group had done what we typically see in that they'd regained all the weight that they'd lost. The weighted group had regained weight, but only at 50%. So they kept 50% of the weight off, which is, again, not an insignificant, was a significant amount. And we all know that one of the issues with losing weight is people tend to regain it. So that in itself was interesting to say, okay, there's something about the weight that they wore that helped them outside of the study time, where they weren't being told what to eat, they weren't restricting calories. The other thing that was really interesting about that study, and this may be somewhat explanatory, is the basal metabolic rate of those who wore the vest during the calorie restriction basically did not drop, where you had a significant reduction in it, in which we usually see with calorie restriction. And those who wore more weight lost more weight, but also lost more fat mass while maintaining lean mass, which is, again, always something that's important. When we go back to the scale being imperfect, it's very different to lose 10 pounds if 5 of it's muscle, or to lose 10 pounds if all of it's fat.
So what I'm hearing is there is some positive reinforcement of some of these studies, some that are small, some that are, still theoretical, where there's the opportunity to build on that and potentially see at larger scale more of these benefits. And if you're just looking, anecdotally, it seems like a lot of people are able to keep their weight off more easily with the use of potentially weighted vests or weighted backpacks. And so it's a great, and as you've said, low barrier to entry. So it seems like a really great thing to maybe try.
Yeah.
And with that, okay, so I am new, never done it before, to rucking, or I'm new to, let's say, I'm interested in a weighted vest. I want to try this out. Let's pretend. So what do I need to kind of look for? Where do I start? How much weight do I start with? How long do I wear it? What are these kind of things that I should?
Yeah. So, I mean, again, obviously the studies are pretty, I mean, if you look at how long people are wearing the vest for 6, 8, 10 hours a day, that's a pretty, I think, extreme place to start. I wouldn't start most people there.
Okay.
I wouldn't start anybody there.
Okay.
I would start very simply, and you can very easily go down a rabbit hole and spend a whole bunch of money on fancy rucks and gear and buy rucking plates and all of these things. I would find an old backpack that looks like it can hold 10 pounds, 5 pounds, and I would start there. Again, I would say if you're really sedentary, I would start maybe at 5. You start with a 15-minute walk and throw your ruck on. Again, that's what it touched on. I think you're walking the dog already. Throw your ruck on when you walk the dog, and now you've started rucking.
All right. That's what I'm going to start doing.
There you go.
And see how it feels. I'll see how I feel. Yeah. Okay. Well, this has been an enlightening and very detailed conversation about weighted backpacks, weighted vests. But I think it's been really great and super fun to highlight something that you really enjoy, that your family enjoys, that you've become passionate about, and really be able to share that with people and talk about, hey, there are some new fun ways that we can really improve our metabolism, we can improve our quality of life, all sorts of stuff. So with that, we are going to close things out with the hot seat.
The hard question.
We're going to get serious.
Okay.
What is your favorite 90s movie?
Oh, 90s movie.
Don't think about it too hard.
I'd probably say I think it was the 90s, The Rock.
Was that in the
I think it was in the 90s.
late 90s,
Was it
probably?
late 90s? No,
I got
think
it. All right. So favorite 90s band.
Matchbox 20? Is that a 90? Okay.
yeah.
I feel like I listened to that in middle school. Yeah.
Yeah.
Still had some good stuff.
That's good.
I'll go
That's
with
great.
Matchbox 20.
All right. Would you rather only be able to whisper like all the time or only be able to shout? Two volumes and that's it.
I think some would accuse me of only shouting anyway, so I guess I might as well just embrace it.
Okay.
I think my wife would say that I generally just
Generally
my tone is just shouting.
Okay, so last question that is related to our conversation. What's the most ridiculous fitness trend that you have seen?
Oh, that's a good one. I mean, I remember as a little kid, those seeing it. I don't think it was my grandparents' house, but somebody's house. Those machines that were just like a big, thick belt that just shook you.
Yeah.
And I remember even as a kid thinking that was, I don't think this works.
Yeah. I remember, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, maybe there was a prancing trend
Oh, I
that
didn't.
had
Yeah,
come back.
I don't know that I got into that.
Yeah.
Again, if it gets you moving,
Yeah.
go for it. But
it's where you just kind of, you're going down the street and you're prancing like a horse.
okay.
I haven't seen it much lately, but back then I feel like I did see it a little bit. Mostly because people were just trying to be funny. It faded fairly quickly.
I could see that.
You have to also dress like you're in the late 80s. So
Okay.
you need to have the leg warmers. You got to have the, you got to have the leotard brightly
Okay.
colored. You got to have
Well,
the
yeah.
headband in order
Was
to
that
really.
bangs? Was that
You gotta have,
gotta have
the-
bangs?
yeah,
Okay.
in order to really make it authentic. So,
Okay.
well, with that, Mark, thank you for joining me. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. This was very fun. And again, Mark, thanks for being here.
Yeah. Thanks so much.
Okay.
If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and leave us a review on Apple or Spotify. And if you'd like to regain control of your metabolic health and feel like yourself again, check us out at Virta.com. That's VIRTA.com. Your Life Reset is for informational purposes only and shouldn't be considered a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Contact your provider if you suspect you have a medical problem. I'll chat with you all again soon. Until then, stay inspired, my friends.